Thank you, Mr. Veselka, for these wonderful remarks. And I would call him David, but he was my 8th grade English teacher, and it's really hard to break that formality, but hopefully we can. Yes. And I do feel like Kinkaid is all family here, and that's one of the exciting things. So I'll work on calling you David. It is my privilege and honor to introduce to you my brother, older brother, Grover Geiselman, Grover Gallagher Geiselman. Megan wanted me to say that. And he is this year's distinguished young alum. And there are very few things in life where the little sister gets the award first, and this was one of them. So thanks, Grover, for holding back a little bit and letting me not always be in your footsteps. But I was just going to tell you a little bit about what I shared with the seniors. So this is really what my remarks about my intro for Grover is really about trying to get the seniors to understand what it was like to be Grover in high school. And I see he has a little posse of his high school friends over here on the side, and they will remember some of these things. So Grover came to Kinkaid in the 9th grade from St. Michael's, and the 4 years that he had at Kinkaid were really transformative for him. Because when he came here, he was a tall, skinny kid who held the record for running the fastest mile, and he was all legs and ears. But when he left Kinkaid, he was the captain of the football team, and he was the master of anything that came his way. He excelled at history, but stumbled through foreign language classes, finally convincing the administration his junior year that he should take Latin with the 8th graders. He was the only person I know that actually had his car stolen out of the Kinkaid parking lot in the middle of the school day. And this wasn't a prank. Someone actually stole his car out of the parking lot, and the police found it on the Texas-Mexico border, totally stripped. So just fun little things. But Kinkaid wasn't all cars and coursework and sports for Grover. He made a lot of friends here, and I see a lot of them in the audience, and I think it's wonderful that you guys continue to be his very good friends. So he graduated in 1991 and went to the University of Texas at Austin, where he was a double major and planned 2 in business honors. Being a lover of sports, he decided his sophomore year to walk on to the UT football team, and that he had the resolve to do that for a whole season, and then decided maybe he would focus on something else, including his fraternity and the Texas Cowboys, and of course his studies. But in typical Grover's fashion, he talked the administration at UT into allowing his 3-week vacation to Costa Rica, where he did a lot more fishing than coursework, to count as his foreign language requirements. And you're sensing a theme here. So if you're not really good at something, you should just learn how to talk your way out of it. And that's a life lesson that I told the students they should think about too, graduating from Kinkaid. So thanks to his fast-tracking his foreign language requirements, and actually a whole lot of work, he managed to finish a 5-year program in 4 years at UT. And after graduation, he went to work as a financial analyst at Lehman Brothers in Houston, where he worked his 80-hour-plus week crunching numbers. Later, he took a job with First Reserve, a private equity firm here in town in the energy sector. But in his late 20s, Grover decided that it was time to pursue an MBA. And he set his sights on going to Stanford because the students there are entrepreneurial and the weather is perfect. He received his MBA there in 2002, and later that year founded Living Spaces Furniture with his business partner, Sharm Sherman, who was also a student. And today they've opened 8 stores in Southern California, and they have over 1,000 employees. And despite his struggles with foreign languages, he occasionally speaks Spanish on his commercials, which you can Google and see his amazing abilities. So he's even accomplished that. So I'm sure I'll tell you a lot more about his business, but without further ado, I'm going to present you Grover Geiselman.
Thanks, everyone. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to be standing in front of you here tonight. I'd like to thank Headmaster North, my former running coach, the Alumni Association, and all of our Kinkaid friends and family here tonight. As Don mentioned, it was pretty surprising coming back to Kinkaid and seeing a lower school that has better facilities than my Stanford Business School. We clearly have some great stewards looking out for Kinkaid's future, and I'm glad to see that it continues to get better and better. I came to Kinkaid as a freshman, and initially I was quite disgruntled by the workload here. I was pretty sure that my teachers were trying to kill me, death via essay. But I had some very patient teachers, and finally they taught me how to express myself through the written word. And as I overcame my fear of the pen, I gained confidence. And I realized that I could change myself in my future, sometimes for the better, sometimes not so much. And by the time I graduated, that confidence had sort of evolved into just a simple conviction. Anything is possible. And that's a belief that I've had since I left the school, and it's helped me make a lot of great decisions, and then some that are not so advisable. But I wanted to take this opportunity to share a little of my story and how I ended up frolicking in accent pillows. So after college, I moved back home to Houston, actually back into my parents' house. And I had this white-knuckled grip on my assisted living situation. And finally, at the spry age of 26, I decided to move out on my own. And I needed furniture. Where did I go? I-45 North between Tidwell and Parker, where Gallery Furniture really will save you money today. And the sales team there at Gallery, they were very helpful, and I bought a bedroom set. And I made one stop on the way home, and the truck was waiting for me. And that was my only furniture buying experience at the time, so I thought this is how it worked. Buy it today, enjoy it tonight. And at the time, I was working in finance, and I liked what I did, and I was challenged by it. But I wasn't sure that it was going to be my life's work. So I pulled the ultimate procrastination move, and I went back to business school. Plus, I got to retake spring break, and that sounded awesome. So a year and a half into school, I was in an entrepreneurship class with a good friend named Sean, and we had to write a business plan. 3 weeks into that course, we finally met with our venture capital advisor, and we had this plan where we were going to develop a bond trading software. And our advisor body slammed our plan. It was very clear that we had to come up with a new idea. So we left that meeting and we regrouped. I told my team, there's this guy in Houston that has a single furniture store. They do a boatload of business. If he'll allow us to study his operations, we'll write this thing up and be done with it. So I came back to Houston and I saw Mac. Mac is always helping students, and so he agreed to let us study his business. And after about a month of studying Gallery's model and comparing it to the regular furniture industry, we realized Mac really had something unique. And we thought to ourselves, why wouldn't we try and go do this? So we ended up coming back to Houston and seeing Mac. This time I said, Mac, Sean and I, we want to come work with you. You don't have to pay us. We want to learn what you do. And when we open a store in California, we'll give you an interest in our business. And Mac said, I'll think about it. Call me next week. So this started a very repetitive process. And for the next 4 months, every Tuesday, I call Mac and make the same pitch. And every time, I got the same response. I'll think about it. Call me next week. So finally, we had graduated from Stanford Business School, hoping to get a job offer from Gallery Furniture. And that offer was not yet forthcoming. I called Mac one last time and I said, Mac, Charlotte and I are packing up, we're driving to Houston, and we're going to start working for you next week. Otherwise, we're going to go do this with someone else. And he finally agreed. So we started working at Gallery, and Mac wanted to test our resolve. he put us on the hardest working team of guys in the place. We clocked in every morning at 6:30 and unloaded trucks until about noon, showered up, got on the showroom floor, sold furniture until about 9 at night, grabbed the keys to the delivery truck, made a few stops, came back about midnight. We learned nothing about warehouse logistics, advertising, purchasing, any other big picture point of view. Mac thought we needed to learn firsthand on the front lines, and he was right. So after this apprenticeship at Gallery, Charm and I moved back to California. We landed about 50 miles east of downtown LA in beautiful Rancho Cucamonga, suburb out there. We found an old Costco building, and we set up a showroom and a warehouse under one roof. And at first, when we first opened our doors, our operations were delightfully chaotic. We actually kept brown paper on the windows for probably the first 3 or 4 weeks because we were so freaked out by the idea that a customer might want to come in and actually buy something. And eventually, we ironed out those bumps and got off on our way. And as dumb luck would have it, we'd opened a store in what turned out to be the biggest housing boom this country had ever seen. And of course, Sharman and I thought that this was our brilliant management skills that were sending our sales through the roof. And unfortunately, we learned that it was really the housing market that was doing all the managing for us. So we learned this unfortunate lesson that every bubble will eventually burst. And it's unfortunate that as a species, we just seem to lack the gene to keep that in our minds for very long. So for the second 2.5 years that we were open, our business plummeted just like the housing market. The number of homes sold each month dropped to about 1/3 of what they had been at the peak, and over half of those transactions were foreclosures. The unemployment in the greater LA area jumped up to about 13%, and it was about 15% out near Rancho Cucamonga where we are. To put it in layman's terms, for this economy was a major bummer. But we figured it out, I guess. It's, in an economic wasteland like that, you either get really good at what you do or you go out of business. And the latter was not an option for us. And so thankfully, since those dark days, we've streamlined our operations. We've been able to open up 7 more stores, and we've got 2 more on the way this year. And the scariest thing, but the thing I'm most proud of, is that we now employ over 1,000 people. And so after my story this morning, I left the students with a few pieces of advice. And of course, there are a lot of folks in the audience tonight who know me way too well to listen to anything that a big-eared goofball like myself would say. So I'll just share my last thought for the students. And that was that they are so lucky to be here. I know I didn't appreciate it when I was here. But this school is one of the finest, most well-rounded academic institutions in the country. If you apply yourself here, you can get into almost any university of your choice. And from there, generally good things happen. Students at this school, they start life with an advantage. For them, anything is possible. And that was, coming back, that was the one thing that I was really glad had not changed at this school. So again, I'd like to thank the Alumni Association and all the great stewards here at this school that are leading it to a great tomorrow. Thank you.